back in. Chris, Riley, and Kate are all here. I'm going to go straight into it. Riley, there was quite a few questions came through during your presentation. One from Heather Neely. Do you see the potential for other funding sources besides government to assist landholders to implement some of the management actions needed to protect or restore biodiversity?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I think that there are potential other sources, and as I mentioned, there's definitely opportunities for co-benefits with private protected areas, whether that be through carbon or biodiversity credits and offsets, and mechanisms such as that. I guess it's important to stress, though, we do see this as important for something that the public purse, that the government should be investing in more. It's compared to something, say, as a national park, private protected areas are lower cost, and we see it as the government's responsibility really to be supporting and investing in that program and supporting landholders who for the most part will be doing the heavy lifting in terms of managing that landscape for its conservation values. So yes, I think there are definitely opportunities for other funding sources and co-benefits. Yeah, just stressing, I guess, we're focused on government, increasing government investment into these programs so that they can be supported to be a movement, I suppose. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Riley. If you've got questions for Hayley, McMillan, or Christopher Kiernan, also Chris Kiernan, please put those into the live Q&A right now. Riley, we'll stay with you for a little longer. Bev wants to know what's expected of the owners of the Gilderton station there in setting up a PPA.
Yeah, so each conservation agreement that goes with the covenant is negotiated individually, so they can have different conditions. So the landholder and the state government will negotiate that collaboratively. With Gilderton Nature Refuge, they do have grey. They might have some areas that are excluded. I actually can't recall, but there is some. As Lynn mentioned on the video, the whole property is now a nature refuge, so there is still grazing within that conservation area, and then there would be conditions within the agreement about the grazing activity to ensure that it's low enough impacts that the conservation values, so the reasons why the state is interested in it as a protected area because of its unique habitat, or it would add some kind of conservation value for the state, that those values won't be diminished by any land activity. So the landholder has an obligation to ensure that those conservation values remain, basically. Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, just to check that I heard you correctly, so it's those agreements are drawn up with on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, there's I'm obviously not from the Queensland government, but there's certain there's a template and certain conditions. But yes, each agreement is negotiated individually between the landholder and the state government.
Okay, right. Fantastic. Staying with you, Riley, financially, why is there a focus on ad hoc grants for private protected areas with no ongoing certainty rather than ongoing management payments? That's a question for you.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, and it's definitely a live topic in terms of debate, in terms of whether it be project grant funding or ongoing kind of a stewardship payment arrangement for these types of programs. There's arguments on either side. The benefit of grant allocated project funding is that it's directly related to an outcome, and it can be ensured that public funding is towards a conservation benefit. However, there is issues, particularly in the rangelands, where these property managers are often managing a really large area, and in terms of whether grant funding is sufficient, I suppose, over such a long period, and whether something like a stewardship payment, I think that's still a matter for discussion, would be a mechanism for consideration. So I haven't really got an opinion either way. I think with stewardship payments, of course, then the question comes into it in terms of the financing of that and who should be financing that ongoing benefit, I suppose. Yeah.
Chris, a question for you from Denise. There's an opportunity to expand. Is there an opportunity to expand the outcomes of your work by partnering with others, such as Queensland Rail?
Yes, there is, because quite often, when it comes to fire threat management, Queensland Rail will contact Transport and Main Raids on burning certain sections of rail corridor, and particularly when it's adjacent to the roads such as a Capricorn Highway, we're then able to work out which sections, instead of burning entire 50-kilometre sections, burn sections that would be more sustainable. And also with other projects such as a prickly acacia project, because the Department of Transport does cover rail corridors, we just included the rail corridor in the prickly acacia eradication.
Okay. Great, thanks, Chris. Also, a question for you, Chris. We'll stay with you from Charles. Your weed management program on road reserves extends into properties. How extensive is the extension, and will it progress more widely in the future?
At this stage, it will. It initially started off as 100 metres as an incentive, but it has had a lot of uptake by landholders, and it's now at 400 metres either side of the road. So we're hoping to get more landholders involved to extend that out to entire paddocks and even entire properties adjacent to the road reserves. So our last couple of years, we've more focused on strategic areas such as streams crossing the roads. So that's important to do that. And then once that goes into the neighbouring landholder, they then see that there's a bit of an achievement. So they can uptake.
Okay, thank you. Now we are starting to exhaust our list of questions. If you have one for Hayley or Chris or Riley, now's your opportunity to put them up. But with none coming through, I think we will wrap up this session and get ready to go for our lunch break. We will come back from lunch. I'm just going to flick over my program here. And of course, when you need your fingers to work on the paper, they never do. Hang on, there we go. We're going to be back after lunch at 1:30. So we're going to break for an hour and come back in where we'll continue the discussions for the rest of the afternoon. We've got panels. The results of the poll are in. And so our two panels are going to be landholder experiences in practical management with Mike Pratt, Angus White and James Henderson. And our second is going to be monitoring and understanding land condition for enhanced on-ground outcomes with Terry Butel, Mark Trotter and Rod Williams. Now, just to remind you, if you did miss some sessions or you wanted to go over them again and contact the speakers, this platform you have been using for the last couple of days is going to be open for another 7 days. That is how you can access the recordings. That is how you can continue to meet each other. That is how you can continue to use the resource library just for the next 7 days. So make sure you do that. A big thank you to all our speakers in this session, Riley Rocco, Hayley McMillan and Chris Kiernan. And have a great break and we'll see you back soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.